Welcome, everyone. Big up Howard, Hanif. Who else is here? If you're here, just drop your name so we can give you a shout out. GG's Goat Galore, Mr. Makuk, Peter Makuk, big up. I need the thing to elevate my laptop up so I don't have to be looking down. My producer just decided she's gonna find something. Howard said, "Yeah, I've been spending a lot of time in the sun. Yeah, I got some animals I have to tend to. I guess I need to start wearing a hat. It's looking. You're trying to say I'm getting dark. Maybe I'm getting back to my real color. Maybe that's what's going on. I'm getting back to my real color. Hold on, let me fix this laptop. Yeah, maybe I'm getting back to my real color and not the what they call it. Oh, that's better. That's good. Um, you know what them call the air conditioned color? Peter Makuk, but man, I do work for a change. I'm always working, always been doing work. People just don't give me credit for my work. That's true. Give myself. That's for me. Or maybe I should give myself an applause. Big up Clevon. Who else is here? Remember, guys, to share the link or invite people to come join us so we can have a conversation about phase feeding. We're gonna talk about how we do phase feeding at Copper Ranch and the benefits of it, and we will try to implore people to give it a shot. So share the link if you want to take your production to the next level. I think phase feeding is something you should try. And for the newcomers, people who are here who are coming for the first time, if you're here tuning in for the first time, um, drop a comment, let us know that you're here for the first time. So this is iGoat Chat. We talk all things small ruminants, goats mostly, and small farms. And we kind of maybe focus on our Jamaica sector. Not that we don't talk about things affecting goats worldwide, you know, maybe more on the scientific side, but on the operational side of things, we usually focus on how things happen in Jamaica. So if you're not from Jamaica, just keep in mind that most of the things you're going to hear is based on our experience here in Jamaica. Keep that in mind. So just share the link, let people know we're here, and we're going to talk about something that I think will help a lot of farmers. I know it will help a lot of farmers. I don't know how many people in here does phase feeding or know what phase feeding is. Just if you do phase feeding or you have an idea what it is, drop a comment. Yes, Mr. Makuk, I'm going to get into it and explain what face feeding is. Okay, so face feeding really is feeding the animal based on their production needs, based on what cycle they're in the production, whether they're open, as in not breeding, or if they're in early pregnancy versus late pregnancy versus lactating or feeding kids. Those are different phases of your production. So there is the early pregnancy, there's open, what we call maintenance, and then there's you also can include a flushing phase where you prepare the animal for breeding, and then there is the early pregnancy or early gestation, and then there is the late gestation, like the last month, last 6 weeks, and then there's a lactation phase where they're producing milk, whether for human consumption or just for their kids. And then there is the weaning phase for the kids, right? Or even the mothers too, if you're not milking them. So I'm gonna talk about what we do in the different phases, right? Um, so let me know if that was clear. If everybody understand what I just said, just uh just give me a thumbs up. Or again, I guess silence means they get it. But I like when people interact. I like when people say yes, no, you don't know what you're talking about, that type of stuff. Interaction is key. Um, let me see. The producer, where should I start? Should I start at the kid stage? Um, I was thinking I'll start at the maintenance phase, like the dry phase, right? That will go through the cycle. Um, so as I said, the dry phase or maintenance phase is the animal is open or very early pregnancy, and that's the least demanding phase, I think, for for a female goat. It's less demanding on the body, less demanding, less energy required, less nutrition required. So that's let's start number. It's the cheapest part of the production. You don't have to put in a lot of extra inputs in the maintenance phase. For us, our maintenance mothers go to pasture and they just really live off the pasture. There's no grain involved. We keep an eye on them to see if they're in good condition, but there's no grain involved. Maybe some um, like fight what's that nutrient in the water or something if we see a situation. But usually it's just pasture and water for the maintenance mothers. Um, and usually for people who are asking who doesn't understand that the maintenance phase usually comes after you take the kids off and wean the kids off the mothers and they're open or, as I said, early pregnancy. That's the less demanding phase of this whole thing, right? So the next phase, just keep in mind that you have to make sure the animals stay in good health. And for us, the females that go to pasture, they're not fat animals because they do a lot of walking, but they're not skinny. They have good body condition score because our pasture provides what's needed for the most part. So they're always in good condition. As long as they're getting good pasture and fresh water, they'll stay healthy. Um, and keep in mind, this phase is the phase that you should really pay attention, because this is where you're going to select who's healthy for breeding, right? Who is in good condition for breeding. So you have to watch them coming in, going out, to make sure that nobody's falling off. There's no extra worm load, extra, all that stuff. You got to pay attention when they're in this maintenance phase. The next phase is what we call the flushing, preparing them for breeding. And that's when we will like, if we know we're gonna expose them to the box in like a month, we start introducing grain to them up to like 2-3 weeks in advance, right? Huh? There's a question. See, I'm not looking at the screen, I'm looking at camera. How long do you keep an animal in this phase, and what determines when she's bred? Really, there's no timeline on how long they stay in a maintenance phase. Maintenance phase is based on our production needs. Really, that's the truth. It's based on how many animals we're breeding and who's in best condition for breeding at that time. So we're doing every 3 months we're breeding. So every 3 months we'll select the best 15 to 20 females and distribute them among the box. So when we do audits and we can keep track of who's breeding, who's not breeding, like a yearly review will tell us who's most productive and who's slacking off, and we can make decisions on culling at that point. We can figure out who end up on the grill. Truly laugh. It's true. you know any other question on the maintenance phase? Remember, guys, share the link, because this is important information that people really don't talk about. All right, let's move on to the next one. Next one is flushing. And flushing, we started 3 to 4 weeks before they expose to the box, right? What flushing does, in short, is give a little energy boost and let the female feel energized, feel like, oh yeah, I can breathe now, I can take that on. My body has got enough energy to deal with that, and the ovulation takes place. Because they got more energy, they'll produce more eggs. So the flushing phase will just prepare the mother for breeding. So if they're healthier, stronger, have more energy, then they will cycle better, produce more eggs, and most of the time you get twins, triplets on a more consistent basis if you do the flushing. There's still scientific research that's going on in regards to, does it work? Does it really work? Or is it you know, a seasonal thing or all that? They're still working on that. But for now, it seems to be a real thing where you provide more energy to the females, they produce more eggs, and they will definitely um, be more productive. Um, oh, so flushing is basically adding grains to the diet in preparation for breeding. Um, it doesn't have to be grain. You know, it could be in some facility, in some operations, it's just a pasture that's higher in protein level. You know, it could be better hay. It doesn't necessarily have to be grain. In our case, we only have two options. We have great pasture, or we have great pasture and grain. So those are the two things. So what we do is just we just add grain. You know what I mean? I don't think the hay we use is better than our pasture, but we just add grain, and that will give them an extra boost. Darren says nutrition unlocks genetics. Super ovulation is more likely with a higher level of nutrition. Um, so that's Darren's take. I don't know if it's nutrition or it's energy. Um, I think it's, I guess they go hand in hand. Um, because flushing an animal that's flushing an animal by giving them more nutrition or whatever, it really doesn't work if the energy level is not right. If they're energy energy in an energy deficit situation, then it will still won't work. It's the energy to the body that makes them feel like they're in their bodies in a condition to produce more, if you understand what I'm saying. So the change in the nutrition, or what are the inputs, adding the energy in the input makes the body react different. Yeah, Darren says good nutrition always includes energy. There you go. So yeah, the flushing phase, it really helps. And this is actually, if you want to give the animals like supplements, this is the phase to give them, you know, some vitamins, whatever you need to do to let their body feel different, let them feel more energized, let them feel healthier than before. They will produce more eggs, and makes them more fertile. And you will get twins and triplets. And some people don't like, you know, overdoing it and putting too many inputs in, you know, vitamins and all them things, multivitamins and all them things, because then they end up with triplets and quads, which kind of could get overwhelming in your operation if you have so many triplets and quads, and then you have to end up bottle feeding and all that. So do you operate and do what you got to do based on what you're capable of handling in your facility, right? If you don't like triplets and quad, then don't put too many inputs in to change things up. Darren says, best believe that the box must be flushed also. Yes, your box should always be in tip-top shape. And the reason I say that is because for us, and most of the things I tell you guys is based on our experiences and what we do, and I take other people's inputs based on their experience. But for us, we keep our box in tip-top shape because there's always an isolated mother or female in heat, and we always want our box ready to go. Always want them ready to go. So there's always, and because we breed so frequent, once they finish their 45 days or whatever it is with these females, they got to get reconditioned. And they have 3 months to do it, or 2.5 months to do it. So, yes, the box should always be in good condition. I don't know if it's a flushing process for the box. I wouldn't, I don't know. I guess, yeah, if you're preparing your box for breeding, you can apply the same concept of flushing them. So, yeah. So then after you flush your animals and get them ready for breeding, the breeding phase is the next part of the feeding program. So you got to keep the nutrition up. You know what I mean? The same level of inputs, whether it's grain or better pasture. Once you expose them to the buck, you got to keep that up for that time period because you want their body to feel the same and produce more eggs. So you have to keep the nutrition up for the period of time that they're exposed to the bucks. If you're doing synchronization using cedar and you have enough bucks to service, you say you put cedar into 10 animals, and you got 3 bucks that you're going to split them. You can breed all 10 animals in a week. If you got 20 animals, you can get those 10 animals serviced in 2 weeks if you stagger the cedar implant. If you stagger it, then you can give the bucks a break. A buck can work 3 females in one day, and you can stagger it and get it done. It's more intense management, but if time is of essence, time is important to you. You want to lock them in so the kids come in close proximity. Like if you want your kidding period to be crunched into 2 weeks and not stretched out over a month or 6 weeks, if you sync them and use cedar, then that's how you can accomplish that. So when we say like increase energy level or increase the feeding input, like grain, make sure it's no less than 14-15% and up in crude protein, so that way the animal actually feels it. So it's important that the flushing, whatever you add in the flushing, you maintain that level all the way through the breeding process or the breeding phase. Maintain it so that way you have consistency. As long as you do that, you should see a certain level of success with your breeding. You should definitely see some success, and you will get more kids, healthier kids, So then, I don't know, some people expose the bucks to the females for 30 days. Some do 45 days. We do 45 days just to make sure that we get 2 cycles in. After that period, after you pull the box, this is what we call the early gestation phase. That's maintenance. And maintenance phase is also where open animals are. That's where I started, right? You so early gestation for females, we also are they tell us, the experts tell us that's also a maintenance phase. So we will skip over that because for us, we send them to pasture and they live off pasture until they get to the late gestation, which is the next phase we'll discuss. And keep in mind, you still got to pay attention. You still got to observe. You still got to make sure these animals are doing well and look healthy, right? And so, late gestation phase for us, that's like a month. It's not like it is a month for us, it's a month before scheduled kidding that we pull the mothers from pasture and we increase their nutrition. So we add grain and we cut good quality grass for them or give them hay if that's what's available, if that's the route we take. If it's like now where grass growing slow, then there's a lot of hay being used and we increase the grain intake. And that's when animals are looked over, make sure they're in good condition. If we see anything like animal getting a heavy worm load, we deworm them with Safeguard. That's the only one I know is safe for late pregnancy. If somebody know of another dewormer that works for late pregnancy, let us know or share it in the comments. We give vitamins, multivitamins, and the reason we do all this in late gestation is because when the mother is at that stage, this is when the fetus develops the fastest. And the more they develop, the less space is in there for forage and all that. So you have to provide extra supplements to give the mother the energy and the nutrients she needs. The nutrition value has to be improved on anything you're feeding that mother. It has to be the top, the best, because she needs every bit of it, knowing that the kids, the fetus is taking up so much space in there. So it's important to increase nutrition intake of nutrition for the animals in late gestation. And keep in mind that the animal, the body conditioning score can you can be deceived in late gestation because the animal will look full and round and fat and everything, but it's just because they're pregnant. Once those kids come out, you may be looking at skin and bones if that mother is not in good condition. And we've seen it over and over here. We've seen it, we've experienced that over and over. Animal, the mother looks great, or looks like she's in good condition during pregnancy, and then once the kids come out, it's a whole different ball game. So it's very important to pay attention and understand what you're looking at and the demeanor of the animal, of the mother, the energy level of the mother. Pay attention to all that. And if that mother is lacking in energy or proper nutrition, you will end up with stress, pregnancy toxemia, all that stuff will be a result of that. So keep in mind. You got to pay attention to it. All right. So now, let's say you have healthy mother that have healthy kids. We go into the lactation phase, and this phase is where the body of the mother is craving good nutrition, because now she has kids that's she has to feed. So most of what she takes in will go to milk production, and she can't produce enough milk for these kids if they're big, strong, healthy kids. So proper nutrition and even some extra inputs. Don't forget grain, concentrate helps a lot in this phase, especially the higher percentage concentrate, 16%, 17%, 18%. Which 18% is like for dairy animals. If you're dealing with dairy animals, then you need 18% uh, concentrate. So lactation phase is it goes hand in hand with, we always talk about kid management. Um, Kid management also means mother management, you know, because in order to have healthy kids, you gotta have healthy mother. Healthy mother gives you healthy kids. So if the mother is producing a good level of milk, it's expected that her conditioning will drop. Her body condition score will drop. So if she's producing a lot of milk. So keep that in mind, that you have to keep the nutrition up. Um, and the lactation phase really is in like three parts. There's the early lactation, right? When she just start producing milk, colostrum, udder is full, all that. And then there's the next phase that they call the freshing phase, when she actually start producing actual milk on a daily basis for the kids. And that's when, for we have seen where the milk production drops off real fast if the mother is not in good condition. If the mother is not in good condition, that the milk production drops off like fast. So you have to make sure the mother is in good condition, doesn't have a worm load, to maintain the milk production. Um, so the final stage of the milking, of the lactation phase, is when you get into the weaning, right? And if you're not into milk production for commercial use, then you want to start lowering the grain intake and all that, because you want to slowly dry the mother off. You don't want to wean the kids and the mother still producing a lot of milk, because you'll end up with other problem, right? So you want to lessen the intake of concentrate grain, so she can start producing less milk. And the less milk she's producing, the less the kids will depend on her for their feed. And that's part of natural weaning. And then there is the abrupt weaning that a lot of us do. But it's important to dry the mother off. It's really important to dry the mother off by slowly reducing the grain intake. Get her back to that maintenance phase. And if the mother is healthy, you will know that what you're doing is effective, especially if you're doing regular observation. You will see that the udder is not as engorged as before, and you will see that she's actually not letting the kids suck as often. So you can tell. um, Now the next phase is the weaning phase, which some people can drag it out if it's not important to them. Some people it can be abrupt. You could just say, yo, we're weaning on Wednesday or at the end of the month, and you just take the kids off. But remember, you are preparing the mother for this. Um, so at that point, all she needs is good forage and water. How long does it take to dry the mother off by just removing the grain? Every animal is different. Every animal is different. So I can't tell you exactly how long it will take. But the objective is to lessen the milk production. So she don't end up with the other problem, because if she's producing a lot of milk, you have to milk it out, or else she'll end up with mastitis, right? So you have to milk it out if she's producing a lot of milk. Or if the drying off process was really successful, then she doesn't have a lot of milk in there, and it won't be a problem. Um, yeah, pardon me. What age should the kids be when the grains are reduced to the? For us, we used to do 90 days, right? 3 months. And since we started a milking program, we've done 2 months. But these mothers are not, they're we didn't reduce their intake, concentrate intake, because they were moving to the milking program. The ones that before we had the milking program going, we would just slowly reduce it, and leading up to the 90 days. And after the 90 days, it's cold turkey. Mothers go left, kids go right. Kids cry for 3 days. Mothers whine for a couple days, and then everything is back to normal. Yeah. If you don't live at the farm, then it's not a big deal. It doesn't bother you. Um, so yes, the weaning phase, all the mothers will need is good forage and clean water. And don't forget your minerals. Always have minerals 24/7 all the time. You know, I'm not a nutritionist, but these are best practices that we engage in. So if you really want details on, you know, the nitty gritty of nutrition and stuff, then maybe Khalil Brown or somebody can help you with that. We talk about our best practices, the details on certain things. I'm not an expert. I can't help. Um, for for Once the mothers are weaned, they go back to the maintenance phase. Now, let me touch on something that have helped us quite a bit is the kid management, right? And how the kids get fed during that time from birth to weaning. We we have a creep feeder, and the creep feeder, for people who don't know, it's a little section that only allows the kids to go in that section, and there's grass, fresh grass that the mother gets, or grain that the mother gets in that section, and they can eat it to their, based on their needs. Like, it's ad lib. Introduce the same feed that their mother is on to them, and as they get older, they'll consume more of it. And the key is, what we found is that it makes them grow faster, they're healthier, and we practice that all the time. We introduce grain like 10 days after they're born, because they're running around at that point, bouncing around, and they'll try to eat what they see their mom's eating. They pick on grass, they pick on hay. So we introduce that to them in the creep feed area, and that helps them, you know, adapt to whatever forage and and feed that their mom's on. And it helps a lot. It helps quite a bit. We see the big difference. Um, so I would implore people to create a little creep feed area for their kids. It helps. Um, any questions on that? No questions on that? Okay, so earlier, Darren talked about the box, right? And I didn't really jump on it because I have this little section that I want to talk about maintaining the health of your buck, right? Um, Here in Jamaica, we really don't do buck tests. I've done a lot of research and reading and watching videos on people who actually do buck performance test, right? To see how healthy the buck is, what's the buck sperm count, all that stuff. But we don't do it. We've never done it here on the farm, and I don't know anybody here in Jamaica who's done it. If you've done it or know somebody who has done it, please let us know. Um, but it's important to make sure your bucks are in good condition, healthy. Make sure your bucks get exercise. Like, people always lock up bucks in a smaller pen. Well, I wouldn't, yeah, not even say a smaller pen, but compared to, you'll have a big area with 10 females in there. Bucks are always locked away to themselves because you want to control your breeding. But it's important to make sure your bucks get exercise. Let them run around. If it's once a week, twice a week, they need to go out, stretch your legs. And you always to make sure that their hoofs are trimmed and in good condition, because remember, they need to mount. They need to mount the female, and they need good standing, because they could hurt themselves if they're not, on strong legs, and their landing is not good. They could hurt themselves, because a lot of these bucks are big, heavy guys that, you know, once they mount and come down, if the hoof's not right, then they end up with a strained ankle or something. So you got to make sure that they're in good condition physically. Nutrition wise, you have to make sure they could get great nutrition, because you want them to be ready to go. You want them to be able to service the average is one buck to 25 females. Buck them I live life. Buck them I live life. Serious. Hey, don't you guys think that, gentlemen? Gentlemen, don't you think these bucks are living a life? They don't have to do nothing. They get fed the best, and then every little certain time, they just get like, yo, here's 10 girls, here's 25 girls. Like, just like how God intended it to be. You guys should see the looks I'm getting. It ain't pretty over here. You know, there's people around that are fighting nature. Yeah, don't worry. I may have to sleep with one of them buck there tonight. One of them buck pen tonight. But yeah, so the bucks have to be in good condition, has to be healthy physically and nutrition wise. They gotta be on their you gotta get the best. If you want them to be working like that, then you gotta give them the tools to work like that, you know? So yeah, I gotta be careful. Yeah, I have to be Andrew, yeah. Can't to talk certain ways, you know. Peter said they're too far to save me. Hey, you know what I mean? At least I got like Samson and them who understand, you know. But you guys know I'm just kidding. I can keep up them kind of argument. Women don't like that. Um so one thing I've learned from my research and all this stuff is poor quality nutrition in bucks will lead to fertility problems. So you bucks got to be well fed and well taken care of if you want them to be productive, you want them to be very fertile. So keep that in mind. That's a real thing. Poor nutrition, poor fertility. And if if you only got one buck or two buck and your herd is 50, 60, then you got to keep them in good condition because as they say, it's 25 to 1, and you want them to do that in 30 days. So keep in mind that healthy bucks will service more efficiently, and you'll get better kits. And to wrap this up, if you notice, there's all these phases, right? And that's a 365 days of different things happening that you got to pay attention to. But if you develop a system, a calendar, schedule things out, then it's not that hard, because some of these things are just routine that you just rinse and repeat. It doesn't matter how often you do it. If it's the same thing, it's just rinse and repeat. You have to plan it out and say, okay, January, you're flushing, February, breeding. And then if like for us, if we're breeding every 3 months, if we breed in February, then you got March, April, May, we're breeding again. So it's just rinse and repeat, you know? And all the phases are important. The maintenance phase is require less input, but it also takes a lot of observation. because that's when a lot of problems could arise because you don't have the extra inputs in there. And some animals can't cope without the extra input. Some animals can't don't graze very well. Some animals, are spoiled. They just want to be eating hay. So observation during the maintenance phase is really important. I remember maintenance phase could include early pregnancies. So you got to keep an eye out for that. Um, I will take some questions before I wrap this up. If anybody have any questions or have any inputs, any suggestions, any thoughts they want to share with everybody else, let's do it. Or do I feed the bucks? The bucks get shaft grass, or like no, they get some hay because grass is low, water, and that's it. Hmm? Grain. Yeah, they get grain. They get to like a pound of grain a day. That's it. Nothing else. And they come out to walk, exercise. We like to do it once a week, but sometimes we forget. But we try to keep them healthy. We used to send them to pasture. That didn't go over so well. Like the mobile fence is 4 feet high, right? And they were jumping it to go find their girls. They realized that the fence has electricity in it, so they just jump over it, just scale it clean. Next thing you go, you look over there, and there you know the females. Or Samson, no, Joe and Grind used to just fight for hours out there. You go out there, and Grind's head is just blood everywhere. Yeah, didn't go so well. So we say, okay, enough of that. Y'all stay in. Too bad. You lost your freedom. Um, Kidding season sleepless night. Um, yeah. You know what I would like? I would like to develop a herd where I can just kidding thing. I just go to bed. You're on your own. Figure it out. I get up in the morning. I make sure everything's fine. Spray when who needs to be sprayed. Make sure kids are fine. Wouldn't that be cool? You just, you get okay. With those massive herd that we see, whether in South Africa, New Zealand, ain't nobody babysitting them. Ain't nobody out there babysitting them. Kids don't survive. Oh, so it go. It's fittest of the fittest survive. Would that be cool? I think that would be the best. Kidding seeds, you put them where they need to be. You go to bed. Wake up in the morning. You don't be sleeping with one ear open, listening if you hear some tiny babies crying. What kind of milk is the best milk for the kids? I assume you're talking about if the kid's not on the mother. We use milk replacer. Milk replacer that's made for this stuff, not cow's milk or you know or what do you call it, ensure or them things. No, we use milk replacer that's made for this, um, or goat's milk from another mother. Yeah, you can milk another mother, or hold the mother and let the kids suck if the kids would do it. We've got kids that we tried to get them to suck another mother and they wouldn't. So, but yeah, I assume that's your question. Big up my brethren, Tom. Tom Pugh. Yo, Tom, when you coming, brethren? When you coming, check me. Tom, you need to come check me. Give me a link. Number is the same. Um, what other? Any other question before we call it a night? And I go. Tom say him soon come. A long time you said that, brethren. You go that man away. How far you there? Typical Jamaican. Soon come, man. Soon come. All right, link. We link you tomorrow. Um, any other question, folks? Which bag feed will provide that amount of protein? That amount, as in what amount? Give me a percentage. Which one are you talking? What percentage? GG's. Give me a percentage. I assume he may be talking about the 18%. If he's talking about the 18%, that is a dairy ration. Um, the hypro goat ration, I think is 16% or 17%, 16%. Hold on, let me check. Let me check what the hyper goat ration is. Oh, 18%. The hyper goat ration is 18%. So I assume they're all up there. Somewhere up there, 16%, 17%, 18%. I don't know. Darren, if Darren's still here, he can tell you what the ram and lamb is, which I assume is maybe 17, 18% also. Anybody know what the ram and lamb protein content is? What is the crude protein content on the lamb and ram? I see we got people from all over the place tonight. Bless up and give thanks for that. We appreciate your participation. The lamb and ram is 20%. Is that a fact? Yo, I don't even want my buck anywhere close to that. That's a urinary calculi waiting to happen. Wow. I'm blew it. But I assume it works, ain't it? Everybody talk about it. Um, 20%. That's a lot. That's a lot. God says it's built for buck. Okay. Um, Here's another question. I had a buck that died at 10 months old. It was reported that he was peeing blood. What would have been the cause of that? Urinary calculi, I think I'm suspecting that he had some little particles in the tracks. You should have got a vet to look at it. Should have got a vet to look at it. And let me explain how urinary calculi happens. It's blockage of what? Of the tract, of the urinary tract. And what blocks it? Calcium buildup from these high percentage grains, right? So that's why some grain, the high percentage grain that the manufacturers make, the feed company make, they'll put, I mean, amino acid, no, ammonium chloride in it. To Ammonium chloride breaks up these little particles. So if there's any buildup, the ammonium chloride will help break it up and release it. So the high percentage grains concentrate will have some ammonium chloride in it to assist with um, urinary calculi. Uh, you got to be careful with when you're feeding grain to bucks. The higher percentage grains are usually dangerous for bucks, and that's just a fact, you know. And any experienced goat farmer that's in here will tell you that. All right, Clark. They will tell you if he was peeing blood, then that means he had a urinary tract issue, which is most likely a urinary calculi, stoppage of water, blockage of the urinary tract. You should have got a vet to look at the animal. So then you know for sure. Don't be scared, you know. Don't be short sighted. It's best to know what the problem is so you don't go back down that road again. You know what I'm saying? It's best to know what the actual mistake was, what the actual cause was, so then you don't repeat the same and cost you again for another book. All right. Um, Goat Chelsea Best Farm said the goat grower is 17%, the lamb and ram is 20%. That's big. It's a lot. How much pounds feed buck forget a day? It all depends on what you want out the results to be. We only give a pound a day, right? Because really and truly, once the animal is fed right, good quality forage, a pound a day for the buck is good enough, especially with these high percentage concentrates. You know, during the breeding season, when the buck is working, we may increase it to 2 pounds. But outside of that, it's 1 pound a day. If you're preparing the buck for Denby, different argument that. We don't go to Denby. We haven't been to any of these. We have shown animals in none of these shows. So I can't tell you what we do on that. Any other question? Any other comments? Any other inputs? Any other suggestions for people that have some issues? If you have any issues with your animals or any other outside of this discussion, if you have a concern, if you have a situation on your farm that you think as a group we can, you know, advise you, then feel free to put it in. Just like this gentleman just tell us about his book. If you have an issue that you think somebody in here can help you with, if they've had similar experience, then by all means put it in the comments. You never know. If if there's no other comments, no other questions, then it's bye bye. Bye bye bye. What's that tune? Who's that? I bet you somebody in your know pop tune and tell me who that is. Is that NSYNC or Backstreet Boys? Which one is it? Huh? Is it Backstreet Boys? Peter, who's it? Which group is that? Somebody said Backstreet Boys. Yeah. Did Mr. Brian say we need a unique YouTube channel? We have a YouTube channel. Stay tuned, Brian. We have a YouTube channel. Follow us on YouTube at Cabra Ranch. Right there. I need to do more work on the YouTube channel, but Peter said Backstreet Boys. How does Peter know it's Backstreet Boys? Peter, how do you know it's Backstreet Boys? Somebody told you. Hmm? Somebody say NSYNC. No, I think it's back. I don't know. We should look at YouTube right now. The answer is Backstreet Boys. We just sent it back. Uh, um, okay, guys. I think since we start talking about all kinds of other stuff, I think that means we can bid ourselves good night. And we will see you guys next week. Same time, same place. I'll try my best to give y'all more videos and pictures of the farm and these foreigners that are dwelling with us. You know what I mean? Let me tell you something. They don't understand patois at all. Not patois. You know what I mean? My other goats, somebody say, yo, come over here, sir. Goat them come. These foreigners, nope. Yeah, they're not. And they're not. They don't understand patois. But anyways, um, Teddy, you're welcome. And thank you guys for being with us again this week. We will be back next week and we will continue to share information with our little family here. You guys stay safe out there. Enjoy the rest of the weekend and see you all next week. Right?